Is the sound working for anyone else?
We're fighting.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm okay now.
You needed them out.
I know, but I know, but it's kind of dark. But I need to, I assume my laptop.
People think it's
Wasn't-
Oh, they made that meeting rather than.
Right. So, what do to start the meeting?
Some of us
Are
don't
we
pay attention.
all we have to do is officially unmute that would.
Yeah, we're unmuted. They can hear us.
Oh, it is what it is.
Awesome, thank you.
They should be able to.
We'll be over by soon.
Okay, so Dante, if you can hear, wave at me.
Here.
Okay, great. Okay, so we can start. Okay, hey, thanks everybody thanks in advance for understanding if this gets a little bit awkward because we're using a new system and it's our first time back in the boardroom and I don't even remember how any of this part works face to face. It's been so long. So it's nice to see our colleagues around the table or some of us. It's nice to see Dante online. This is hybrid meeting format. So, but here we go. Haven't done this in almost 2 years. The combined legislative and planning meeting for the Wilkinsburg School Board for the month of July 2021 will come to order. Mr. Liberta, will you take the roll?
Sure. Mr. Donovan.
I'm here.
Mr. Johnson. Ms. Jones. Ms. Rubenstraw.
Here.
Ms. Washington. Mr. Bossy.
Here.
Mr. Comans.
Here.
Mr. Steadley. Ms. Garcia.
Here.
And you have 5.
Okay, so we have a quorum of 5. Thank you very much. So let's go to the agenda, which I have actually printed out here instead of.
Yeah, there's copies of the agenda on the table that wants to mark.
Yes, right. Okay, so thanks everybody. So we'll start out with the with Dr. Milishnik's with Dr. Joe's report. I can say it. I can.
All right. First, I want to thank Jermaine because this was a big setup. It may not look like it, but it's a big setup to be able to run something like this is impressive. And Bill, one guy to put it together, he's always on it. So I appreciate that. If you look in I gave every board member a packet of information. So there's some things in there that you can see as far as proposals, contracts, things like that. So you can actually see. At the beginning, you also see a PowerPoint of information. Some of this stuff will be touched on throughout in case you have questions or concerns with some of the things that we're going to be discussing. Going down on the second slide, the informational slide. That's the one I'm going to touch on right now. Since the technology is coming up, I'm going to skip in on that. Just want to let you know we did have our FIT approval or flexible instructional days. We have 5 approved for this school year. So that has been approved. Moving on to our PBS rewards, we'll be discussing that further in the board meeting. Our virtual Academy Waterfront Learning, which was approved last month, but luckily I did have our technology integration coordinator. She did some research. She actually saved us probably $2,800, maybe $3,000 per kid. Because the one that we are going to use is not going to be the $3,800 version. It's going to be the $285 a semester version of this program. And there's some costs in there. You'll see I put it in there for professional development and so on. And if we wanted to get the Genius set up for student accountability, but we think we may be able to do that ourselves as well. And $5 per course per quarter for books and so on. Or that was
just for the attendance tracking.
The attendance tracking, and our textbooks per course per semester. So in the end, it saved us a ton of money just by her sitting through presentation that you guys sat through and then going through the contract thoroughly, and then back and forth with the AIU numerous times to clarify, because they seem to confuse it sometimes. So she did get that clarified. So that's the route we'd be going. And our main purpose of that is to try and attract students that are out inside our charter right now. That's the main purpose of that program. We'll be going through the policies that need updated for Pell Settlement course, and the health and safety plan is also in your packet for you to take a look at. Some other things, we're working on student handbook and the virtual academy handbook, which is, that part's completed, but we're just going to do a combination approval in August at the same time, because they kind of overlap, and we'll be able to get those to the students by the time school starts on August 3rd. Spanish teachers, they've been here 2 or 3 days already, and they've already sent us updates every time they've been here. They have their scope and sequence ready, prepared for, I think, at least for the first semester, but they actually started on, they actually used a design model called Understanding by Design, which is the way you're supposed to do it, and they didn't have to be told that. They actually did it that way. So they started with the end goals and worked their way backwards for a scope and sequence. Interviewing for long-term substitute for 4th grade right now, and custodial positions, we're going to have a few open up, so those we'll be doing over in the next few weeks. Because right now we have 2 openings, possibly 3 in custodial, because some we didn't replace over the last year because we were working under COVID conditions.
Are they posted on the website?
No, we're still interviewing.
Oh.
We're still interviewing.
So
But the jobs.
we advertised on Indeed and internally.
So, but we don't post it on our.
No, we probably could do that.
We usually wait 2 weeks after they start interviewing, or they post it on the website. It's how
Don't even.
they'll do it internally first. They interview
Right.
internally first, and then they ask me to post on the website 2 weeks after.
Okay, yeah, so what happened was nobody applied internally. So then we just went out and advertised.
We went out and
Indeed
advertised.
Okay.
Yeah, we got, at this time of year, we got a decent amount of applications, so which is impressive.
I'm sorry, so Kelly, will the new website have almost every organization's website has a tab called employment, you know what I mean, or jobs or something. Will our new website have that?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay.
I guess I'm questioning though, when we put it up, why wouldn't we put it on our website at the same time that we put it out to Indeed?
You're right. It
just didn't happen.
I didn't know.
Yes, there-
We do something.
That's a great point.
Yeah, we do usually do it for Kelly's post.
Okay.
Yeah, this was just an oversight.
Yeah, we do that. From now on, that's what we can do, because it's gonna be on, I think it's on Indeed, it should be on PA Educator, things like that.
And I saw it in the regular update, and then I looked online or on the website to see if it was there, and it wasn't there.
No,
So,
but thank you for pointing that out.
We'll make it
Looking at and you'll see in here also, we have a family who requested a couple months ago, Mr. Scott Lewis, their family, they had a store, what was their Creer store? Some of the family still lives here, some don't, but there's an organization called Samaritan's Feet that they're going to make a huge donation to, which this is an organization throughout the country, and they're going to donate 250 pairs of shoes of multiple sizes, and it's called a shoe locker. You don't actually have to have a shoe locker, but we got to have it stored somewhere. So we'll have some for Kelly, some for Turner, and I did ask for some for high school students because some of our students live together. So if something happens, we'll have some for our students that are Westinghouse or one of the school schools. So that was nice. When the time comes, we'll do a big marketing thing. Once the shoes come in, we have the family, contact the family, we'll do a little marketing campaign on that.
That's great.
So no cost to the district except for storing.
And what's the plan for disbursement of the shoes?
Well, that's, could be nursing record, or nurses maybe recommendation. If we find out if, there's been a fire, if they've lost some things, or maybe somebody's lost their job, family's lost their job, things like that.
Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, but the teachers, I mean, it's sort of like when a kid really needed uniform. You know what I mean? Somehow or other at Kelly, you found pants and you found a shirt for that kid. There can be, I'm sure there will be a teacher referral thing here that can go on. You know what I mean? We seem to address those things pretty well in the schools, I
Yeah,
think.
if someone needs something, then we'll turn around and get what we need.
That's not gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
The majority of the teachers are, like you said, they're pretty good about building those relationships and knowing their kids. And that's what they should be doing.
Yes.
So, last thing that I have that is not on there, but it reminded me when she walked in, I just want to congratulate Jordan Manos because she was actually requested by Junior Achievement. That's the organization that'll be doing, what's the
We do JA BizCom, and then we do another section for the primary students at Kelly.
and I think, I don't know if Dr. Bosk asked about the BizTown or something. So we will be continuing that, but because of her enthusiasm and her efforts, they asked her to come speak at an event next Thursday, 6 to 9 at Bella Sarah. Everything's paid for, and she reminded me to let you guys know if you want to attend and bring a spouse, they pay for it all. It's a huge fundraiser for, so there's going to be businesses there and so on. So she'll be speaking, but board members are allowed to attend, administrators are allowed to attend, and bring a significant other. So if you want to attend, just shoot me an email. We only have 2 days to get that to them. So
Next Thursday.
it's next Thursday, 6 to 9, Bella Sarah and Canonsburg.
And
So just let us know if you want to attend. So we'll give those as numbers. The rest of the information I have in the PowerPoint actually goes along with what, in case you have questions or concerns on anything that we have in the agenda for the rest of the night. But thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
And if I may, for the record, Ms. Jones has joined the meeting, as well as Mr. Steadman.
Oh, okay.
For the record.
Great. Marcia, Eric, aye. Okay, so we can move on to, everybody received their copy of the solicitor's report. I hope you all checked it out. There's some interesting stuff in here that looks promising for the district, I think. David, would you have, David Mangelo is sitting in tonight for Mr. Hoffman, so anything to add to the report?
Nothing to add. If you have any questions or comments, run those through Dr. Malushnik, as those items are confidential. Also, is there, Matt mentioned we might have an executive session for a couple of those items. Is that right? A personnel item and maybe a litigation item?
If we need to pull an executive session tonight, or we want to wait
If
till.
you're aware of what we need to know in that session.
Yes.
Yes.
Matt ran me through it. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So you have information for us that we need to do in executive session. Okay.
Right.
We'll have to figure out a way to set that up for the board members who aren't here physically, but we'll figure something out.
I can set up another computer at the conference room upstairs if you want to do that.
And then we'll have to send out a new invitation
Yeah.
to a different
We'll send
meeting.
that out, yeah.
So, okay, board members attending virtually, hadn't thought about this. So you'll have to watch your email for something from Jermaine. You'll send it out, Jermaine. Oh, from Rick, with a link to an executive session, which will begin immediately after this meeting. All right?
Okay, thanks for the heads up.
So it's at the end of this meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And our target is 8:30. So set it for 8:15. That'll make us hustle. All right. Thank you. Let's see. In reports,
The only one we have here.
yeah, the
tonight
only
is Kelly.
report that we have tonight is, because of the staggered new report schedule, the only one that we have is on public relations. Ms. Hannah.
Get the PowerPoint there.
Sorry, I was
Do you want to? You can take one of the empty seats over here if you want to. Kelly, if you want
Well,
to sit.
you can sit, that's the presentation table.
Oh, I just sit right here.
Yes.
That's
Like I'm
the address of the
I'm in
board
front of
table.
the Supreme Court or something. All right, judges and juries. Here's, when we were at I really don't have a whole lot because I just reported to y'all, but you did ask me for the packets that we were sent out. So I made you have one. Just for the record, we have, for the record, we had only two that came back from the charter school addresses that we had.
Wow.
So Andrea's looking those up to make sure that they are still the district and that we are still responsible for taking care of tuition for them.
How many were mailed altogether, Kevin? Roughly.
There were probably 200 maybe 2:15 for K through 6. I'm still working with Westinghouse to get more information. Who's advancing? Do I have a clicker? I don't have a clicker. We'll have to get a clicker. So it's pretty much the same as what I talked to you guys about before. Social media is increasing. We're getting a lot of traction, especially with Facebook. Stay with me. You have the charter school packet information for K through 6. So you've already reviewed all that. You can keep going, Rick. Still working with Stephen. In my report last week, you did receive 2 of the marketing pieces that they want to send out to the charter school families. We're working on the other pieces as well. We are going to talk about WTA today.
Yes, it's on the agenda.
So we're working with WTA to produce a commercial. They have given us the invoice. I guess it's on the agenda tonight. Additionally, they're working on a script, which I should have by the end of the week. So, and we will fine tune that, and I'll make sure that you guys, that goes into one of my reports, and you guys can take a look at that as well. You can blow through all that. That's the whole proposal. That should have been in my report too last week, that you guys could have seen. We did send out the survey so far. As of 7/22, we had 98 surveys completed. I double checked it today. We have 155 completed. Out of those 155, we have 117, give or take, because sometimes they filled it out twice, that want live instruction, and 38 students are interested in virtual programming, which is pretty much, it's about 24%, which is kind of on target with what we had in the survey that we sent out last April with our families when we asked if they might be interested in a virtual program to begin with for the next school year. So it's predictable, the surveys are working. Something that we might want to think about doing with our charter school families as well, but we can talk about that later. Next slide, please.
Before we go on, so are you going to speak at some point about the 3 models, 2 different online models? Okay, okay.
Yep.
So I won't do that now. Okay, fine. Go.
So I'm still waiting to hear from Rick at Math regarding the 529 program. I think that would be a clincher to bring families back into the district if we can get that to work. We're still going to do the word power, community word power, working with the Chamber of Commerce regarding that. Additionally, thought about doing not just a word, but also the word in Spanish as well. So we'll actually have 2 words, and that'll be a community effort. Market Day, we're starting next Thursday to try to get more enrollments. I talked with Shannon today. It looks like kindergarten enrollment is tracking well, and she was very pleased with the enrollment that was tracking for pre-K as well. Okay, so I was going to show you. Well, I was going to show you the website. So the website, there are 3 separate websites. We have the main website, and it will launch on Monday. It'll be ready to go on Monday. And we have the Kelly website and the Turner website. Jermaine and I went through, I went through Kelly and Turner's from head to toe. We had to restructure everything. When Edleo brought in our content, they copied and pasted it in different fonts, and it was a mess. So I had to go in and restructure the whole thing over the last 2 days for both websites. And I think it looks really sharp. I was like so pleased with how it looks. Now I have to go to the main site and do all that. Now that I know what I'm doing, and I went through the training and I know what I'm doing, it's gonna look awesome. So there's a couple things that I'm noticing that aren't there. Jermaine picked up that there was no, once you got on the Kelly site or Turner site, there was no way to get back to the main site. So we're going to do that. I met with Andrea and Rachel today, and we're going to do something a little bit different with enrollment. So we're going to land on an enrollment page, and then from that enrollment page, you can select how you want to enroll. If you're interested in the virtual program, You're gonna fill out something, Rachel will be in contact with them to give them the information. If they're a new family to the district, there's a different way to enroll than if you already have children in the district. So it's a little bit more complicated than I realized. So we'll have different options for them. And then pre-K, they'll go right to, okay, you can go ahead. So the website, like I promised you, will go live August 1st, and it is. And I also went to the Wilkinsburg Alumni Picnic on Saturday evening. It was hosted in Duquesne. There were about 50 people. I was able to secure some emails from several alumni. And I talked to them about doing a Where Are They Now profile. So I'm going to try to add that into my article that I write for the Wilkinsburg Sun. So, and then I talked to Dr. Jill briefly about maybe just trying to get them back into the community, engage them to maybe have some kind of not an alumni club, but like what was the word I used today with the alumni? What can't I think about the word I used? An advisory board. To talk about, maybe they can come in and speak to our students, tell them what they're doing. A lot of people have their own businesses. I was shocked about how many people have their own business. So entrepreneurship, they could come in and be speakers maybe for us. I don't know, it's just something I'm kind of toying with and trying to pull together. But cool. Any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Kelly.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so actually, will our existing families, is there any chance that some of our existing families would use the website to register? No, those kids were automatically registered for coming back.
Yeah,
Right.
They're gonna have to go through a registration process for the virtual academy. Now, do you want me to explain the three options?
Maybe this would be a good time to do that so that everybody has it in their head moving through the rest of the
Yeah,
meeting.
as we looked at virtual options,
complicated.
looked at the virtual options, one, a lot of schools they want all kids to come back. We are offering a virtual option. We planned on it from day one when Dr. Iverson was here, and that's why Ms. Gardaki's here. And the goal of the virtual, the one with the waterfront, the main goal is to get those cyber charter students back who are out there and calling them one-on-one, trying to get a couple here and there. And for our students who want to do virtual, but that could change. Our third backup plan, over the last few days, we're looking at our numbers coming in. We want to be virtual. So there's a good chance we may have to assign a teacher per grade level and do full virtual like we did last year. Do the same, full synchronous instruction. So have the kind of same schedules they had last year. Now, the reason why we choose a teacher is because the biggest problem that all school districts, including ours, found last year was teaching. They were okay with full virtual. It was when we went to hybrid, trying to teach the kids in a classroom and virtually. So by having this, Rachel's head's probably spinning right now because she's got hit with so many different things over these last few days. And so but she's making it happen. She's giving a positive attitude. She's at least faking it really well. And so that's probably going to have to be an option. So we'll probably assign a teacher. So no cost. What it means is we're just going to have, like right now, we have 6 third grade students. A couple more, that's a class. So we're going to have 3 actual options for this. So which is good because we'll assign a teacher to do that. We might have to put it out there, work that out with the union who's going to do it, but there would be no cost because that would be their classroom. And some people like the virtual. So there will be teachers who like the virtual, and so we can make that happen. So we are accommodating multiple ways now. So
That's good to hear.
yeah.
We're just going to all have to be prepared and patient the first couple of days of school because we get real sensitive when we get news about a problem or a hiccup with school starting. We're accustomed to starting school one way. Kids come to school. Now we're starting school 3 ways. So we could have some hiccups the first couple of days, and we're just going to have to be, aware that it's more complicated than it was the last time we opened school.
Yeah, last year was much easier. We knew where we were starting and how we were starting. This year, it changes day by day. AI, or the superintendents had a meeting today, the state superintendents had a meeting at 1 o'clock. Things came across at 1 o'clock today. I had to make a quick little simple change, but it's changing constantly, where last year we knew the game plan. You know, it could go different directions in the next 4 weeks. Subject came even up today in the superintendent's meeting about postponing the health and safety plan for another 30 days, you know, because of the constant change. So, yeah, but we have to have it submitted by July 30th. It doesn't have to be approved. We would just like to get it approved before July 30th.
And I didn't pick up on the whole thing, so we'll all probably hear it in the news tomorrow, but I heard a little bit of it in the car on the way here, that I think the CDC changed their recommendations again. And
Yes.
it's that everyone in a school, every single person in a school, vaccinated or not, be masked. And that even groups like this, if you're vaccinated and inside even in a setting like this, everyone wearing a mask.
Yes.
So we may, you know, for August, we're gonna have to decide. I really don't wanna give up face-to-face meetings. So we'll have to see if everybody's okay with wearing a mask at this meeting, you know? God, I hate to go to virtual ones until we really have to.
Yeah, and I would recommend us submit what we have in place, and because there's definitely going to be changes down the road after hearing from the superintendents, they just submit what we have, and it leaves a lot of flexibility for us to make some decisions down the road too.
Can't we also get, I know we ordered them, the shields.
They're off everywhere.
We have a shield.
I mean, that you wear, so that way you can give all
The
the.
CDC thing today for schools said shields aren't acceptable, it has to be a mask.
Oh, really?
Not acceptable for busing, transportation.
I thought it was for school, in school.
Yeah, for in school, we're okay, but for transportation, we're not.
See, I don't know, I mean, I didn't even hear the whole
But
thing.
see, for this, we should be able to
You
do a
think?
shield, yeah.
And do they mean schools just for their kids, or are they meaning?
Yeah.
You know, board meetings are okay, like there's so much still,
Right.
Right.
we'll have to adapt and overcome, but we will.
Once students choose one of the 3 options, though, is that for the year? I mean, they can't change. Is that how it's going to
We just talked about that. We're paying by semester. So
okay.
it wouldn't be for the whole year. So we're paying by semester if we use Waterfront Learning. And of course, if we have them fully virtual, the way we did last year, we can make those changes. We know that we've dealt with it in the fall, or in the spring, so. But yeah.
be? Thanks.
I would like for it to be a matter of record that Ms. Washington joined the meeting. Okay. I'm gonna save that, I think. So let's see. All right, we're at approval of the minutes, I think. And that would be board action is requested to approve the May 25th, 2021 minutes.
So moved, Debbie.
Second, Dennis.
Any comments on the minutes? All right, vote. Wow. Oh, I couldn't go back to board those who voted. Jeez. I was trying to vote on your screen. Where
Rick, do you mind voting for me? You know I can't vote from this iPad here. I appreciate it.
we need to also note that Mr. Johnson joined the meeting,
I
right?
might go back to work.
Okay.
We're waiting for Dawn. I can't do anything till Dawn takes over.
Dante, we need you to vote so we can unfreeze this. There we go. Thank you, sir.
So just give me a second.
Yep. So the minutes are accepted unanimously. Wow. One big controversy out of the way.
Okay, I'm ready. Teacher tenure.
All right, there are a couple of items coming up here under instructional staff, and consecutively, they are yours, Dr. Militia.
Board action is requested to approve the tenure for Megan Daly, Molly Ward, Allison Sanderbeck, and Rebecca Glass based on school code and having 3 consecutive years of satisfactory evaluations effective July 25th, 2021.
So moved.
Second, Johnson.
Any discussion on tenuring these 4 teachers? All right, we can go to the vote. And I'm not sure who all's online, but if Ms. Daly, Ward, Sandra Beck, or Glatz are online, congratulations. And don't go anywhere.
Motion passed.
All right, that motion passed unanimously.
Megan's here. Hi, Megan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Board action is requested to hire Christy Bobich as an instructional aide for Kelly Primary, K through first grades, at a rate of $18.04 an hour, and all other terms and conditions per the collective bargaining agreement, effective August 24th, 2021, to be paid for from the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
She's here also.
She's on there also. There's some feedback somewhere. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't put it. So I understand you're here, Ms. Bobich. Congratulations.
I am. Thank you very much.
Yes, how do you feel about coming to Kelly?
I'm very excited. My background, I have my master's in special ed, and I've been an early interventionist for 18 years, and I'm just really excited to do something different and be in the classroom.
That's awesome, man. And those are impressive credentials. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Hey, Christy. You actually worked with my son Kobe like when he was 1.
I
It's
know.
Martia.
I saw that you were on here, and I messaged you.
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry.
That's okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations. Let's see. Moving on. Board and committee reports. Let's see. I don't have this written up, but Joint Tax Committee met yesterday. There were 3 proposals actually submitted. None of them were approved for various reasons. There are some issues with joint tax. And so what we agreed is that we're going to get much more serious about pinning down the solicitor from the district and the solicitor from the borough to get together with the 6 members on the Joint Tax Committee in an executive session to try to iron out some issues and make sure that we all understand the same thing when we read certain language. All right, is that correct? Latanya is the chair of the committee now, so.
That's about it. Got too much confusion going on for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion, so about that. So there's my report. Mr. Boston, you probably don't have one yet, do you?
No, I do. This is for June 24th.
Oh, okay.
In the morning. Everything's pretty much as I typed it up here, but their enrollment went up to 850 students from below 700s this year, so that was a positive. The rest doesn't really apply to us. It's going to be the students there.
It went from what to what?
They were in the low 700s. Now it's 850.
Wow.
So, yeah. But that's what the projected is anyway.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of growth. All right. Thank you, sir. And Eastern Area Schools report, Ms. Rubenstraw.
Yeah, the Eastern Area Schools met last Thursday. I don't have a written report yet, but as always, we talked about the roof. They did talk about Dr. Joe and Darren coming and touring Sunrise. So they were very happy to see that. They would hope more superintendents would do that to kind of see what the issues are around the roof and what they're dealing with. I did send an email out to everyone right before this meeting started because there was an update from the solicitor regarding the litigation with the roof vendors. And I didn't want to report exactly on that because I don't know if it's really considered executive session, but I wanted everybody to know what the status is. But it looks like, they've been assigned an arbitrator, and it looks like the judge the judge wants them to settle and make a settlement and get this roof situation fixed ASAP. So that was sounded promising. There were 2 resolutions that we passed last month. One was regarding returning the refunds from the AIU tuition to the jointer to go towards the roof. That was approved. There were 2 of the 8 schools who voted against it, but because we at least had 5 votes that moved forward. The resolution about the architects, however, to have everyone pay their fair share to get architects moving on getting some roof estimates and getting the specs for them, that did not pass. So nothing really is being done right now on the roof because there were, we didn't have the 5 votes that we needed to do that. We only had 4. I think that's about it.
I'm still surprised that wouldn't pass. I mean,
Well, there were 2 schools that seemed to be not wanting to pay for anything. And there was one school that hasn't voted yet. And one school voted pending, and for everybody else, it had to be unanimous. So it was very confusing. It really ties our hands. What we suggested is that the superintendents get together because they keep tying our hands. This board can't do anything. We keep going back to that, and we have superintendents that are not being cooperative at all. So the superintendents need to go and give us guidance. So we push it back to them. So you'll be getting a call shortly.
all right. Any comments at all or questions about those reports? All right, we can move along.
Hey, Debbie,
Yes.
who are the 2 schools?
Plum
Woodland
and,
Hills?
no, Plum and Penn Hills.
What was the first one?
Plum.
Plum. Okay, thank you. Which one is the uncooperative one?
Both of them.
Both of them are both no on everything.
Who's the Penn Hills rep?
She used to be a principal here.
Oh, not the board president. Okay.
No.
Okay. So thanks for those. Any other questions on the reports?
Jackie Blake.
Jackie, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you go down to the ground.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I couldn't think of her name right now. She hasn't really attended any meetings. But
wow. Okay. Let's see. The treasurer's report. Ms. Washington.
Good evening and welcome back. Oh my goodness. Board action is requested to ratify and confirm the July 2021 general fund payments in the amount of $2,981,468.46. Wire transfers in the amount of $475,575.97. And capital project expenditures in the amount of $2,489.17. The following reports as of July 27, 2021 will be made a matter of record in the minutes. The statement of revenues and expenditures, balance sheet, bank account summary sheet.
so moved, Debbie.
I'll second Ed.
I just want to make a record. We did talk about this at the finance meeting. I had one question, and Rick is going to follow up. I just want to get it on the record that there is not a payment in here for our credit card that we haven't seen for the last 2 months. So Rick is going to be checking on that.
Okay. How long did it do? Yeah. Maybe I've got it. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, thank you. Hey, before we leave Ms. Washington's section of the meeting, because I'm worried that this paper will get just lost in the stack here. So we board members and everybody, but board members especially, have been invited to an open house in the National Night Out event. It's not an open house. The National Night Out event, that's on August 3rd, to the Crescent and Falconhurst apartments. I'm Rebecca Abbott. So it's a great way to go over there and meet people, and there will be some snacks, I think, and crafts and music and stuff like that. So I will make a copy of this and send it out to all board members, but it's just a great way to go meet some people who pay taxes and keep the schools running. So that might be fun to do if anybody wants to go do it. So that's on August 3rd from 5 to 8 p.m. and I will distribute this. Okay, moving along, we go into section 12, policy. Dr. Malushnik, 103.
Yeah, board action is requested to approve the first reading of policy 103, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment affecting students.
So, Debbie,
I'll second Ed.
I have a question on that policy. Towards the end, under the delegation of responsibility, it's not written who the district's compliance and Title IX coordinator is, and that's, is it going to be the superintendent? Is it?
Yeah, it's voted on, whoever's here right now, it's voted on that I had last month or the month before.
Oh, we voted on you. So shouldn't that be in the policy?
I can't pull it up on
It's at the very.
Yeah.
You want a name or just superintendent?
Just say the superintendent as the district's compliance officer. I mean, that has to be filled out in the policy. That's why that blank is there. So we just need to put down that the superintendent as the district.
What page is that on?
It's towards the end of it. It's
Page
under-
5 of 9.
There it is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I got it, yep.
We'll go ahead and fill that in.
Okay. Any other discussion on the policy? Okay. Voting windows are open. All right, that motion passes. And Dr. Malushnik, 104.
Board action is requested to approve policy 104, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment affecting staff.
So, Debbie,
And I don't have it in front of me, probably has the same thing on that one.
the same thing on that one, but just, this is the first reading, right?
Both of them are.
For both of them are the first reading, so the action should say the first reading.
Oh, right. Oh. Let's see. Any other discussion there? Okay. Did I leave over it? Okay. Your voting window will be there in a second, 2 seconds. There we go. All right.
Well, we're still waiting on Eric.
Oh, okay.
It passed.
Okay. Okay, that motion passes. Okay, we have a lot of items under board governance and resolutions, so I'll turn this section over to Dr. Malushnik. Everybody should notice that they took all my speaking parts away from the agenda.
Thank you.
I think it was, yeah, right. That's that tendency of mine to tell a story about every resolution that I read, but, okay. I'll fix that for next month, but for now, okay, the health and safety plan.
Board action is requested to approve the ARP Health and Safety Plan effective July 31st, 2021. Therefore, the following options will be offered for the 21-22 school year: 100% full in-person learning, 5 days a week, instruction for all Wilkinsburg students, pre-K through 6, with physical distancing of 3 feet or maximum extent possible, and Wilkinsburg Virtual Academy 5 days a week with asynchronous virtual option and daily staff support per attached.
So moved, Debbie.
I'll second.
Second.
Oh, I think Monica had it. Any discussion? I think we all know that the plan is going to be fluid and it's going to change at some point.
Yeah, I have just a couple of questions. The effective date, August 24th, that's the first day of school. Is that
For teachers.
For teachers.
for teachers? Okay, so that doesn't affect our summer school, whatever, would have been July 1st.
Well, for summer school, we're still in EYSY, so they're still under our previous policy of masking.
Okay. And it did say on page 5 that vaccinated staff will not be required to mask indoors. Is that?
I think we need to, they just changed that today, so we need to.
Well, that was the thing, we left it, I put it on there for everybody to take a look at and see. I was trying to, and I don't know if you saw the survey that was sent out by the AIU of all the districts. So ours is the strictest. That was the one area where we said we would leave it if you were vaccinated. We thought it would also motivate others to get vaccinated if they're not already. But all the other school districts, they're not putting anything in place. As you guys, that's why I sent it out to you to see what other districts were doing across the board. So
But
that,
given the recent guidance,
Exactly.
should we at least say that this can be changed to, depending upon,
leave a option.
leave an option to say that everyone should be wearing them?
Depending on CDC, because we have in there also depending on CDC guidance as well. It could change depending on CDC guidance.
Right.
Some of the stuff that came out today, which we may have to change anyways.
So I think
as a board, we know that this is going to be subject to change. I mean,
I realize that, but I don't want us to have a policy that's vaccinated staff will not be required to mask indoors. There's a possibility that
That it might change.
that it could change. So
Hey,
just-
may I insert a comment here? I mean, I don't, honestly, I don't want to follow the CDC guidance anymore because even in the current administration and the prior administration, a lot of their decision-making seems to be political. It doesn't always align with recommendations. Our own state legislature has put on the ballot a measure that passed muster and was approved to amend our Constitution to prevent the executive branch of our government from doing on a universal basis all of the things that they did. They have given us local control, and I think it's our job to set policy on this. And in particular, I think that because we deal with children that are under 12 who cannot be vaccinated at this time. We have to protect them as best we can. We need a policy that enforces masks independent of what the CDC says. I don't think it's necessary to follow their guidance. They seem to change it too often. We should set a policy for the year based on what makes sense for our district. And I think that includes masking as often as possible due to the fact that we have the variants that are of concern right now.
So looking at the masking policy on the second bullet, would this be acceptable, something to this and vaccinated staff? How about it will be an option with further administrative approval and guidance upon further CDC recommendations, something to that effect, because it can change.
Where is it now? I'm sorry, what
It's on
page?
page 5.
It's on page 5 at the second
At the
bullet.
bottom.
I think that's the big they should have.
Yes.
I agree with you 100%.
I think that, you know what I mean, at least have them wear the shields.
Yeah.
And then that's some sort of protection, regardless of whether they're vaccinated or not.
That's what we're talking about. Unvaccinated, vaccinated staff will not be required. I think.
So you want to say that again? I'm sorry. Could you repeat the changes you were going to make?
I mean, I'm just thinking, depending on how the next month goes, if it goes well, if it doesn't go well, do we want to leave in there vaccinated staff? It will be an option with further administrative guidance upon further, with further administrative approval upon further CDC guidance.
What if we just remove the sentence that begins with vaccinated staff?
Okay.
I mean, is that a simpler way to to resolve what we're talking about?
But
Yeah, because we're
then that
saying-
says they don't have to wear masks at all. Nobody
Right.
has to wear masks. You
So
know?
I think you have to address the staff, whether they have to wear masks or
Well, the
not.
first bullet, or the second bullet starts off, while in the buildings,
Right.
masks will be required for all unvaccinated students and staff. So that leaves us some flexibility depending if things go well. But whatever the board recommends.
You do have the third bullet that says any changes can occur at any time due to requirements.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think what I heard some of the board members saying is that they would prefer that everyone wears masks.
The CDC just said this morning that if you're indoors, you should wear masks.
You're right.
Period.
Right.
You don't care if you're vaccinated or not vaccinated.
Right.
But I like the fact that this does leave it a little bit so that, we can make changes as needed. It's not set in stone, they all have to wear masks, or like they do or they don't. I mean, I like the flexibility because things are changing so quickly. Yeah, so that was news to me what you said, because on the way over here, I was listening to the radio and they were still saying, I was listening to Fauci saying, oh, it's up to the local authorities to decide.
Maybe I said,
And
maybe I
so,
heard it wrong.
yeah, so I don't know, but
They said it this morning. I watched today's
so
show.
what I was
this morning on
listening to,
Today.
was maybe that commentator was not even updated. So I feel like it just keeps changing so quickly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do we need as a board to decide to discuss and come up with we need to do a vote on just masking? Because I think there are different, opinions on that on the board. So I would be curious to see.
I was talking to Mr. Studley earlier, and I did say that I think we need to have a discussion. The board needs to have a discussion around masking. But for the current situation, what if it said vaccinated staff may be required? And we have the bullet underneath it that says it could change at any time. At least that alerts that even vaccinated staff may be required to wear masks. And right under it, it says the plan can change at any time. Does that resolve what we're talking about?
It does for
I'm-
the scenario.
I'm supportive of that, yes.
When you're talking about pre-Kers or Kers, they're gonna do as they see done. So you might not be vaccinated. I mean, you might be vaccinated, but you're teaching that class. Well, do you think they're gonna keep yours on or you don't have yours on?
Yeah.
So it's okay.
I mean, my hunch is that everybody's going to be masked when school starts anyway, because that's where we're headed. That's just what I think.
Things are getting
What
worse.
happens, Yeah, I think things are getting much worse.
I mean,
So-
the older kids know, but little people, once we send them all back, they're gonna follow the leader.
Right.
So if you got yours on, they'll be more apt to keep yours on.
That's right.
4 years down, they're gonna 4 years down too. And you cannot get mad at
That's a
them
really
or
interesting
be calling their
point.
parents
Yeah.
because they don't wanna wear it now,
Yeah,
because you ain't wearing it.
I hear
Y'all
you.
call me with it.
That's a really interesting point about the young ones. Yeah, right.
And everybody has the shields. I can see where you may not want the mask, but.
With the shield, exactly.
So they can at least still see their faces and.
We don't have anything in here specifically about the shields. I mean, should that be added? That's, if masks are not mandatory, shields will be.
There you go, something to that.
Well, we've been considering the masks and shields as the same thing, but today on buses, it's not. No transportation, it's two separate things.
I personally
All right,
would like
so-
to
I'm just
say,
wondering if
even
we
if
can
you-
Can we talk about what happens on transportation as well, since it was brought up?
Yes, but let's finish this one first, Eric. So are we okay with vaccinated staff may be required to mask indoors?
That would give us time come next board meeting to make a
Yeah.
final decision, but we can still put this forward.
And it's also a very clear heads up that it may happen,
Yeah.
so,
I just look at it from
Okay,
a
that gives us more
perspective.
data then.
Uh-huh.
okay.
But personally, I think for teachers, it's gonna be easier if they wear a shield if they're out all
Exactly.
day. I don't know, but I think one or the other, would have to be. I
And
agree with
especially for the
you,
little
Tony.
kids, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
exactly.
just the follow the leader.
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
It's not-
you know how it is.
Yes.
Okay, so then on the 24th of August, we can meet as an administrative team and make that decision. And then this at least allows us to get this put in there for approval for July 30th.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but I think you're right, because I just wanted to, the only reason, because I think for myself, I was like, I don't want my baby to he's gonna be in kindergarten, to have to wear a mask every day, and But then we went to the store the other day and I told him, put a mask on because you don't, and why mom? Because you don't have the vaccination yet. We have it, but you don't. So I took him in the store. He saw a bunch of other people walking around without their masks. And he literally said, but mom, why do I have to wear masks?
That's exactly
Nobody
right.
else is wearing this. And then I said, because you don't have your vaccine. So I explained that to him, which he's trying to understand as a 5-year-old. And then he's like, but it's itchy and I don't want to wear it. He's complaining. And finally I said, just take it off then. You know, and I gave up. But I thought it was one of those.
And how many
most comfortable
disruptions can
masks.
you deal with in a class like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And don't be
Yeah.
calling me as a
Yeah.
parent, because I'm.
You need the consistency.
Yeah, so I can understand that, but it was probably an N95 mask, like, but it was one of those medical grade ones. But when he was going to school, you know, for pre-K, I think there weren't any issues that he was taking it off, although they didn't have to wear it at recess, like, so they did have breaks and at snacks and things like that. That's my concern, is like all day long. And then as a teacher, you know, even as a speaker, like I think, yeah, it's hard to have to wear it when you're trying to, but I don't know, I guess we're on it. We have to adjust. We have to continue to adjust. So
That word
And I
may
think that's the
will
key,
allow it to
that we
adjust.
have to adjust and continue to adjust. I'm sorry, I tried to get in a couple of times. This is Marcia Jones. I think for the safety of the students and the staff, they need to wear masks, particularly in our community where African Americans are reluctant to get vaccinated. We don't want our children getting sick and dying. We just don't. And I agree with LaTonya. If the teachers aren't masked, it's going to be difficult to push that with the students and the parents. I think they should wear masks. I don't even think it should be an option.
So should we have this discussion now?
Well, I think for the plan, my thought on the plan is if you wanted to make it flexible, because you can be flexible, you know, there might be vaccines.
And the directive would, this would at least get
But
our
the
plan in.
directive
From the
school
directive
board-
us,
Yeah,
on
I
August
agree with
24th,
Marcia.
you will use a mask.
Yeah, but the
Right.
policy, you know, the plan could be more flexible, and I think that
Yep.
gives us more.
That's, and that word may sounds better than will not be required.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
I agree.
Yeah.
And as long as we let everybody know that this plan is fluid.
It's fluid.
That's
Right,
right,
yeah.
that's right.
But we have to vote on it
Is there
to get it in.
Yeah, and I think, okay, so we'll use the word, I'm gonna take out will not and may. I think Eric had something on transportation.
Yeah, let's move there. So we're all okay. So when we vote on this plan, it'll be, with the understanding that that line reads, will now read, vaccinated staff may be required to mask indoors. So that's just so we know when we come to the vote. Should we vote on this and get it out of the way? Should we finish this up, David, and vote on it before we move to transportation? Or,
His transportation question is.
oh, it's about plans. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, Mr. Steadley, it's yours. That was my way of saying, Eric, you want to talk about transportation?
I think he was just asking, he said something was mentioned about transportation, so he wanted to explain what was brought up or something.
He said he had some questions about
Yeah, he
transportation.
said
I thought he
we'll talk
did.
about transportation.
Yeah, I don't know if he's around.
But I can't see if he's there.
His thing is still up.
Was he asking for
Oh, he's there.
clarification on what, Dr. Joe was talking about, as far as like with the CDC regulations?
He's raised his hand, it says.
Okay, hi, Eric. Yes, you ought to be able to speak and we hear you.
Spoken for.
Who spoke for you?
Eric, are you there?
Yeah, we'll try again. Is this any better?
It's
Yes,
good.
we
It's
can
good.
hear you now.
I heard someone say I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to offer, so I don't understand the transportation policy at this point. We just quickly review that with Dr. Joe. And then for the prior discussion, my comment is I'd like to suggest we table this approval for tonight. I'd like to suggest we have a meeting separately with Dr. Joe to discuss the mask policy, because I heard some significant concerns for our community, which I understand and I agree with from Marcia. And I'd like also the opportunity to discuss this at length with the other board members. I think there's a way to solve this problem. I think there's a mask mostly policy that we can come up with. where we, by default, we require masks unless there's an educational need not to have masks, or in certain situations where, it's obvious we can, there's food consumption involved, or, some specific need for, not having a mask. And that's generally, I think, the most we should be able to do, because there's a middle ground we need to find there, by balancing protecting our community with the needs of education and educators. So let's have a separate discussion on that.
The only thing I think this needs to be to the state by the end of this week. We won't have another meeting to
It does, you're right.
to discuss all that. So we need to put it on the table, whatever your concerns are today, because this needs to be submitted to the state by Friday.
Well,
It's the 30th.
and so Eric, we have to vote on it. We have to vote on a plan tonight. So given that we're replacing that we're making it stronger by putting in May, would everybody be okay with voting on the plan tonight? But it says in the plan that it can be amended. So then, Eric, we can set up the meeting that you're talking about masking in general, including transportation. How about that?
Yes, sounds good.
And I'll be honest with you, our plan is probably the most detailed plan. There's none that I've seen over, there's very few that I've seen over 10 pages. So ours is pretty detailed compared. I think this Republic was 9 pages.
How much is yours?
Ours is 17 pages.
Dr. Adams was like 47 pages.
Yeah, it's a new plan where before you had to have people responsible. This one's a whole new plan that was sent out to us in June. No one completed this plan until after June 28th. A lot of the school districts were leaving a lot of gray area for that flexibility. I think the word may leaves that flexibility, and then August 24th, we meet before kids get there and say, all right, we are going past the lanes of surplus.
Right.
So that leaves that, that leaves us. But I agree, that sounds better than will not be required.
Right.
Right. If there's no other discussion, we can bring this up for vote. I don't have a window. I voted already. Okay, that's because I knew what was in it. Thanks, everybody.
Michael voted.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Michael,
Go back to the screen.
Are there,
I just have one typo, Dr. Joe, I'm just sending it to you on email.
okay, so there's a string of other items here that are yours. Dr. Motion.
Okay, looking at everybody, you probably already know that we have our positive behavior intervention support system. It's a more positive way to react to kids when they're doing something wrong instead of always a consequence. We've been doing it, they've been doing it for years here. Carrie might know how long, because she's been here for forever.
Been a while.
Been a while. So the teachers, the majority of staff is very good with it, and it's a culture. And I like what Carrie said. It's not a person, a place. It's a system.
Framework.
It's a framework. I love the way she said that. So, what we were looking at last year, Ms. Lucas and Ms. Freiberger were looking into this PBIS reward system. And you have some information in there just in case you had questions or concerns on the reward system. PPS is using this reward system for the last few years. So it will work collaboratively with them as they go into 7th grade. So everything is kind of done through apps. It tracks, how many, when they do good things and so on. So it's an easier way. It's a more methodical way, but it's a simpler way for teachers to collect that data. When kids are doing well, when they get the rewards and so on. And the cost is in there, and you'll see the proposal for the approval to go ahead and purchase the program. And also it provides a professional development for our staff as well.
Is this eliminating Tiger Bucks?
No, it works collaboratively with Tiger Bucks. Great question. So it'll work collaboratively with Tiger Bucks. And it actually, they have a system if we want to do Tiger Bucks through this app system. So the kids can actually see what they're collecting, parents can see what they're collecting, and gives feedback to all of those parents and staff. So there's more accountability for everybody, especially for the small amount of staff that maybe is not doing their part. It's now, hey, we can see, track what every teacher is doing or not doing as well. We have it everywhere. So it works with our system as what we have right now. It's just a nice electronic app system. And again, it's the same one that PPS is using. And there's informational pieces in there with the proposals.
I like the fact that EPS is using it because it makes a smoother transition for
Yeah.
kids.
And they highly advocated it, and that's when we stopped over there, we started looking into it. We actually started looking at this before COVID. We were gonna try to get it last year, but then COVID hit.
So moved. Second. Keep it going.
There we are.
Nothing new, nothing good, nothing good. Did you read the motion?
Oh, geez.
Oh, I thought he read, yeah,
Well, I read the,
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't read the actual motion. Board action is requested to approve the PBI's rewards proposal at a cost not to exceed $3,027.50 paid for from ESSER funds, subject to solicitor approval. Because we want to make sure that they, if they had any questions or concerns.
Just wait for Eric. Has everyone voted? Eric, could you vote?
Come through.
Did you get it? No. Eric, are you there? We need you to
Yeah, I'm
vote.
here.
We need you to vote.
I did vote. Here,
It says you did.
I thought I voted. I'm gonna try logging in again.
you want Rick to vote for you?
What? You can just tell Rick.
Oh yes, go ahead, Rick.
All right. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Dr. Woloshnik, Go Guardian.
Board action is requested to approve Go Guardian Classroom Management and replacing our current web filter iBoss at a cost of $19,050. And I was working with Jermaine on this. You'll see in some rationale that Jermaine had, you'll see the cost and so on. Our current one expires in December, but this is a better program. And he always says a better, but it's a more an all-encompassing program where teachers can kind of control students, what they're doing, and parents at home can control what students are doing. And number three, we're required by the federal government to have a web filtering tool anyways. By doing it now, before December, it allows us to get professional development and start the year off with it and not try to change halfway through the year. So I didn't know if anybody had any other questions on that program.
So we'll be paying for both programs until the end of December?
The first one was already paid for, correct?
Yeah, so it's a 3-year renewal for both programs. So we still have 6 months left on the current program, but that is only web filtering. This is getting us web filtering, classroom management, asset tracking, and some other tools that the previous program doesn't have. And we want to start this now so we can do professional development with teachers and not try to switch in the middle of the year and try to train them on using something.
Can this be paid with ESSER funds?
It should be.
Yeah.
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 So
I
can
can, we
we
can add that to the motion.
add that in the motion?
I can do it now.
Yeah. I'll do it in the minutes if you,
Do you want me to repeat the board action with that in?
Are we good? No, we just done. We'll add paid from ESSER funds to that. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Okay, we can go.
Is there
Debbie, I'm moving.
I'll second. And then-
Eric was asking a question.
Yeah, but I wanted to second it first and then, okay, Eric.
I didn't see a document for this yet. I'm sorry, I'm having problems with board docs, but I mean, is there a reference proposal for this or some type of RFQ that shows the scope of work for scope of services for this?
Yeah, it's attached.
Yeah, it's attached if you could get into,
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try a reboot of something here. I'm sorry.
You can hit that plus if it makes it a little bigger.
Rick, if you would mind voting for me, yes, please.
Okay. Okay, voting window should be open, everybody.
Just waiting for Marcia to.
Okay. Good, we have everybody but Ms. Jones.
Motion passed.
All right, that motion passes. Thanks, everyone. We can move on to Google Voice renewal. Dr. Moshnick.
Board action is requested to approve a one-year extension with Amplified IT for Google Voice licenses and regulatory fees at a cost not to exceed $12,374.40 to be paid for from ESSER funds per attached. Our Google Voice accounts were very useful for us for our virtual instruction. It was important. That's how I got messages from parents through my computer, through Google, our teachers too. They didn't have to use their own personal phones and so on. So it was very effective. And Jermaine suggested that as well for at least another year with everything going on.
I'll second. Ed. Any discussion? All right, go.
Motion passed.
All right, that motion passes. Thanks, everyone. Let's see, we have a gift officer, item E.
Board action is requested to approve the receipt of $500 for the authorship program from Allison and William Strome.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can I ask what they're giving it to us for? I mean, that's,
They saw the article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and their mother, Allison's mother, used to work here. Wilkinsburg, she was a teacher. Great. In 1950, she was the first married teacher hired. So they saw it in the paper, contacted the reporter, and then they got it after they gave us a donation.
great.
You said.
Now, will that go back to the kids somehow?
We were just talking about that today. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Goes right back to the kids, and they're, maybe even purchase their books to put in the libraries and so on. So.
Yeah, we really ought to have a copy of every kid's book in the Wilkinsburg Library, So we just need to get a price on that, but, yeah, I think that'd be great. And I asked one of the kids, I said, do you think it would be cool to have your book in the library so other children could find your book and take it out? And they were just like, yeah. So we ought to do that for all of them.
I'll wait till you get a book at your house that they made and they want you to read it every night.
That's not on the agenda. So, all right, so we can vote on this.
It's passed.
Oh, I think that passed. All right. So the Propel settlement, Rick?
Board action is requested to approve the settlement agreement between Wilkinsburg School District and all Propel charter schools. Wilkinsburg and Propel agreed to the sum of $334,027.96 due to Wilkinsburg for the 2016-17 refund of a subsidy deduction on April 11, 2019 per attached agreement.
So moved, everything.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
We did talk about this at finance, and just so everyone's clear, there's still another suit pending against them. This is just for the 1 year, the settlement, so.
There's another one from 1819 where they took.
Yeah, so we still have that out there, but this is, and Rick explained why the differences in the amounts, and it made perfect sense, so,
You should probably explain it again so those who didn't hear.
yeah. if you wanna-
So there was a couple things. One, when we are required to fill out the PDE 363, we must fill that out in July. So the form pretty much states on the front of the form, you must use budgeted numbers and estimated average daily membership. So at the time in July, when we use our estimated average daily membership, again, it's just an estimate based on the previous year. So we're filling out for 17-18 based on 16-17 numbers. So at that time, our average daily membership was 1,191. What happens then is in February, March, April, roughly, probably April, because that's when they took the subsidy, PD publishes on their website the actual average daily membership, which went from 1,191 to 1,137, which makes a huge difference because that number gets divided into your total expenditures that you're allowed to use for the PD 363 form. So that changes the tuition rate right off the bat. But so when they changed that, they used the actual, talking to Matt Hoffman, he felt that the PDE guidelines and regulations along with the school code and the, I don't know if it's the law or whatever, didn't clearly say if they were allowed to use those numbers or not allowed to use those numbers, the actuals. So he said it would be very hard for us to try to defend that number in court because there's no guidelines in PDE's regs on using the published number because they actually publish it. So he wasn't sure how the hearing officer would allow us to decide which number to use. The other thing why we didn't get the full $600,000 back is, as everybody knows, the reconciliations that come in at the end of the year, we do owe money because those kids come and go throughout the year, and they might have forgotten to bill us for little Johnny, and he might have been there 10 days, but he was really there 90 days. All that stuff happens. So that was the difference between the 600,000 and the 334.
Any other discussion? I personally received an inordinate amount of glee at a resolution that forces Propel to pay us money. I shouldn't be this happy about it, but.
Do we know, is Propel agreeable to this?
Yeah, they made the offer to avoid it going to a hearing.
Really?
Yes. The actual settlement agreement was drafted between their solicitor and our solicitor. So, and they've already signed it. It's on the agenda as a signed document by them. I have it here for tonight for Ed to sign.
Yeah, they did not want this to go to a hearing, which is interesting.
Hallelujah for agreement.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yep, I have it right here to sign. Okay, so are we, got passed unanimously?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Let's see, new audiovisual equipment. Oh, yes, Rick?
Board action is requested to approve the purchase of new audiovisual equipment for the multi-purpose rooms at Turner Intermediate at a cost of $14,322 and Kelly Primary at a cost of $44,202. Total purchase cost not to exceed $58,524 per state contract pricing to be paid from general fund ESSER. So this is a purchase for the multi-purpose rooms at both buildings. So if you remember for Turner, during the construction process, there was a change order to put this into that building, and the board put that on hold because the price was exorbitant. So we went back out and through the help of Jermaine and Horizon, we were able to come up with that $14,000 to upgrade the multi-purpose room at Turner. Kelly does not have any systems, and we do a lot of professional development in that room. We do a lot of training in that room, so this will make that a lot nicer and a lot better of an atmosphere. Plus, remember, we already upgraded that room.
Yeah, right.
New flooring, new lighting,
Yeah.
new whatever.
It looks great. It looks just great. So let's get it the right.
So this is just another step in making Kelly look better.
Okay.
So
Second. Any other discussion?
Oh, I do have a question here. It says to be paid for from general fund ESSER. Should it say
Oh,
general fund or
no,
ESSER?
just ESSER.
Just ESSER,
Sorry.
okay.
Deb, what are we gonna do about you?
I know.
Fine.
Where does that story?
What's that?
Where's the It passed.
Okay, that motion passed. The next one is just more stuff for Jermaine, I guess here.
Board action is requested to approve the installation of 5 additional data ports for Turner Intermediate at a cost of $1,876 to be paid for from the general fund per attached.
So moved.
Second, Debbie. This is the same, the additional data ports, that we had the discussion about this with Turner with the renovations with the.
I was getting ready to ask the same
This
question.
goes, yeah, it's, yeah.
So we never got all the data ports back then?
No, we never got all the data ports. This one is actually for the classroom projectors, because you guys actually approved another, proposal in the past to add classroom projectors to this classroom that were missing in the renovation. Not sure why, but they chose not to add projectors for the special educational rooms, and we need those to be like the regular rooms as well. So these network ports are for the projectors that are going to be installed in the special ed.
Thanks, Jermaine.
Seems cheap. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, this is just for the ports. This is just for the wiring, not the projectors.
No, I think it's cheap.
Oh, okay, all right.
Honestly, it seems for that much. 5 drops is not cheap.
Let's wait for Dante.
Dante, we need you to vote.
Motion passed.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Let's see, Rick, you're on a roll. Johnson Control.
Board action is requested to approve the purchase and installation of systems and equipment, unit ventilators, fan coils, units, and electric unit heaters.
Excuse me, Rick, you need to speak into the mic, because I don't know if they can hear you. I can barely hear you. Down this end.
Board action is requested to approve the purchase and installation of systems and equipment, unit ventilators, fan coil units, and electric unit heaters at Kelly Primary and District Administration at a cost of $808,000 to be paid from ESSER funds per attached, subject to approval by solicitor. One more thing I want to add to the motion is that this is done on state contract pricing.
So moved, Debbie.
Second, Dennis.
Any discussion?
Yes, what is the purpose of it?
I'm sorry?
Why do we need it?
Yeah, what are they and why do we need them? Are these classroom heating units, those things in the wall, or?
So it's a whole complete overhaul of the HVAC system at Kelly.
Okay.
So it's everything, it's air conditioning, it's the unit ventilators in the wall, the, which go on a daily basis. I think they break and we're having them repaired. It's the whole system.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
whole entire system,
Okay,
heating and cooling.
okay.
This was one of the things that was on our list of Kelly improvements, the whole HVAC
For
system.
years.
That was part of the whole, that we would have had to do anyway, even if we didn't have the ESSER funds to do this. But because we have the ESSER funds that want better ventilation and things like that for the students, it's good to use it. And Johnson Controls, they're the ones that put it in Turner and here. So it would be consistent to have one vendor to handle everything, all of our HVAC stuff here. My question though has to do with the warranty of this, and I would hope that Matt in particular, or our solicitors could, it's a 90-day warranty, and that just doesn't seem very long.
Yeah.
Very long for something.
It's not industrial.
That's something we can bring up.
Yeah, I just want Matt, when it looks, I want to make sure, given the situation we've had at Sunrise with the warranty, I want to make sure
But
that,
it does say subject to approval by
Right.
solicitor, so he can catch that.
right, but I just want to make sure he looks at that warranty.
All right, that motion passed, didn't it? Oh, no, not yet.
Debbie and Eric.
I just voted.
Still waiting for Eric.
Okay,
Sorry, I still read it.
Motion passed.
all right, that motion passes. We'll shift over to Ms. Garcia for the back-to-school event.
Board action is requested to approve $5,000 of ESSER fund use for the back-to-school event.
So moved.
Second, Debbie.
Questions, discussion?
Just like any other thing, you know, once it's 5,000, give us a report.
Okay, great.
Just waiting on March. Okay, we'll do that.
All right. Okay, additional stipends. You know that we have divided up some of the human resource duties for the district among several other people, and that agreement ran until the end of the fiscal year, I believe. Some additional stipends that we provided. So this is to continue that for a while we sort out what we want to do about an HR person. So board action is requested to approve a monthly stipend of $450 for Cindy Bogatay and $700 for Paul Paradise for performing additional human resource duties from July 1, 2021 until January 1, 2022 to be paid from the general fund.
So moved, David.
Can you tell us what some of those duties are that they will be doing, that we need to pay the second month?
Yeah, so for Paul, he has taken on the entire healthcare for the district. He is working with the IU, working with the consortium and all the employees in the district on their healthcare and changing over the healthcare for all employees in the district and monitoring the invoices and matching up with our so-called HR system that we use for an outside vendor. Cindy is taking on the responsibility from the HR side of all the job postings, the job descriptions. We had a list, I think we sent that home. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was looking at right here, jobs postings, interviews, prepping for interviews.
Scheduling.
New hire documents, ASOP, and that's a big issue. ASOP's a huge issue because that's meshing our system with their system, our Harris Porter with their system. So she's been working on getting all that correct.
For
Personnel
all the district
files.
absences across the board.
Yeah, so that kind of.
She also deals with the door access.
Yeah, key cards, the picture taking now.
So far, it's been working well, very well. So
So this is in lieu until we find, but we're still going to look for human resources.
yeah, well, after 6 months, we'll figure out, all right, how do we want to move forward? Where do we want to go from here after the first semester?
This just buys us time to sort out what do we want to do about that function and that job. Because one of the reasons is the individual who left wasn't hired into an HR job. Those duties were sort of added on by Dr. Iverson over time. That person was actually hired into a secretary and clerical position. And it just grew with some additional duties thrown on. So we have to back up now and look at HR and a job description and all that stuff before we go out and advertise to hire someone.
Yeah, I just caution us that we've gone through this before in the past with HR directors. And it might be going well because we don't know what isn't getting done, because we don't have a real HR director. So it might be that the tasks are getting done, but it could come back to bite us.
As well as back then when we had an HR director, when we changed all this in the beginning, when we brought in all those other people, it was to divide. We didn't want an HR director then. That's why we divided up her duties then to the new people that we were hiring. So what are we doing going back to an HR, like, really, come on, make them.
Yeah, well, I think we just have to be careful because sometimes you don't know what's not getting done until somebody comes in and audits you and then it's not getting done right.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, well, this is why we needed an HR director.
And we had an HR director for years.
Right.
And we decided.
Well, that got all divided up.
So I would just caution us. I think we should be
So those are
very
good
careful.
discussions, and I agree. Those are good discussions we're going to have over the next couple of months because the way it was advertised was the same advertisement that our previous person, Robin, was hired. So the applications we were getting was secretarial, people were secretarial. And then we would also have to address the salary for that position. Salary, we would get, the applications we got in June were, I would not put any of them in that position. No one was qualified because the way it was advertised, So we would have to make a decision, all right, what would this position look like if we're going to decide to do that?
But your HR director they should know every contract that you have, all of your contracts, what's in it, what's not, and they should be helping you and advising you to make sure that we're doing things that are within the contracts. And I'm not sure that I saw any of that in any of the.
And we should have an HR description or job description around the summer. I mean, we had it up until
I can have her look for it.
about 6 years ago.
Well, you had that contractor when I left. You had a contractor when I took over.
We had, Ramona,
Oh, right.
Ramona, she
Right,
was,
but remember, Andrea was actually there in that position for years.
yeah, she was, yeah.
Until we decided we didn't want her anymore and split up her duties.
Right.
We'll put it all on.
It's gone round and round and round, and then
Understood now.
Okay, that,
Where we're going.
let's see, we need a couple of votes.
So we're good.
Okay, we're okay, that motion passed, that's great. Let's see, this is the school security officer agreement. So board action is requested to approve a 3-year agreement for our 2 school security officers per the attached to be paid for from the general fund. The changes to the agreement are, I think, are really important and warranted to increase their insurance so that they get dental and vision coverage like every other employee in the district does, to provide a uniform allowance. I know that Ronnie at Kelly School he's spent his own money to provide sort of a uniform that he wears to work, just to make sure that he has a very professional appearance and everything. He's awesome. And to grant them 5 PTO days per year. So right now they have 0 sick days or any kind of paid day off. So they would just get 5 during the course of a year. And this would be a 3-year contract for them for the attached.
And just to comment on, this is probably the time to do it on both Officer Ronnie Smith and Officer Lonzo Boyce. They're tremendous. And I think Carrie would tell you the same thing. I'll go over to Kelly. Ronnie knows almost every kid that comes off that bus. He welcomes every kid that comes off that bus. He's there an hour early, probably gets there when Carrie does. Carrie, I don't know, gets there before daylight. And Lonzo's the same way. Lonzo will be there at 7. He doesn't start till 8. He'll stay till as long as we need him. Just recently, we had an incident happen near the school on a Friday when no one was there. He shows up. He texts me. He shows up. He lives near the school. We couldn't ask for 2 better officers and how they protect our kids and know our kids and don't come off as officers. They come off about building relationships with kids, and they do it tremendously. I can't advocate for them enough.
So moved.
Second.
On the actual document, I don't know if this is it really matters or not, but it says 5 annual personal days to be used as needed. Can we change that to PTO, or is there a reason why it says personal?
The reason I put that in there is our system doesn't recognize PTO days, so it recognizes personal sick vacation. And I didn't want to put it in there as sick because, if Carrie's not here or leaves or something, and they try to take a sick day, but it's really not for a sick day, I don't want them catching it.
They can use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So refreshing with all the issues that we've had with security over the past
Yeah,
year.
right.
To hear,
We had so many firms and
oh my gosh.
problems and people not showing up.
And I know Mr. Officer Boyce he's interested in starting a young leadership program. He did it, and he implemented it in Duquesne. So having some work for the 5th, 6th grade. Students are going to be like young leaders, almost like young officers. And so he's already working on putting a plan together for it.
Do y'all remember the days of the hall monitors?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Right. Great. Well, when we were talking about the PBIS system, and ways of monitoring all that, student behavior and stuff like that, Latonya, I just thought, I wondered if you remembered if you had, all we had was a demerit card, and you better have it on you, if you were going to get a demerit, 5 demerits, you had detention, and
Remember they had the little vest and everything?
Yes.
Quit running it off. I'm taking 2 punches.
You gotta bring that back too. All right, thanks for that. That motion passes unanimously. That's great for those 2 individuals. All right, WTAE, board action is requested to approve using WTAE to produce a commercial for the district at a cost of $4,966 per month for 3 months, not to exceed $14,868 per attached, subject to approval by the solicitor, paid for from ESSER funds. And this is part of the whole marketing campaign to bring back charter kids and to bring back other kids into the district.
Can I ask why WTAE?
Why was there a reason why we went with WTAE?
Well, we went with them because they're in our hometown and they gave us the best deal.
And I'm just saying that because, yes, they are in our hometown, but they don't come down here and do nothing else for us.
Well, we do have.
They did do the Lincoln statue.
Okay, the Lincoln statue, they don't come down to the school
Wait,
district.
who's Mike Clark, WTA?
No, Mike
Mike Clark is
He did WTA. He was at WTA.
Was he at
But
WTA?
the other reason,
All I know is because he's all over the school.
the number one reason is because they have the highest ratings for the time slots that we will be putting the commercials in. So Good Morning America, the time slots will be there. It will be during Kelly and Ryan. And then the evening news, they also have the highest ratings for the time slots as well.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking, because over the years, we've asked WTAE to show up at different events. Ms. Manners could tell you, and they don't show. But it's interesting, now they want to do a commercial for us to get online.
Why don't you start showing?
Another time, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying.
Well, we're going to build a relationship. Hopefully they'll start coming to our events. So.
I think
Any
it's
other
important.
discussion or
Now's
question?
the time to do it, so.
Right.
So, do we?
I need a motion.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, Monica. Yeah, right. Okay. All right, so is the vote finished? Oh, we need one vote, Ms. Jones. All right, that motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody. And that actually does bring us to the end of our agenda and our work for this evening. Unbelievably, because we're way ahead of what we budgeted for this meeting, and I thought it would go really, really long. So since we have a couple minutes, I thought I'd tell you a couple stories. No, I'm kidding. What about this idea, though? What do you think about meeting only once in July? How did this work out for people? Because you told me in the past, we didn't even meet in July when I first came.
We hadn't been meeting in July for a long time. That was our break time. But then as things came about, we started needing to meet in July because it would be too much to move over to August.
We needed
and
to
have
get
an
ready for
all-night
school.
meeting, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
But one meeting in July, that was fine.
So,
We could go back to
And I
July.
think with COVID, our superintendent changes, everything, I think it's good to have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great, thanks, everybody, we appreciate it. When we build next year's schedule, that's what we'll do. All right, any other comments or new business or anything? That's great, we have no missing members to excuse, so, here's the board. So, board action is requested to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second, Dennis.
There's a voting window for this action?
Yes.
Just hit like unanimous. Just hit the unanimous button.
I don't want those be the ones for the national night out of especially those of you running for election. I got a message to give. I can give my message, but it's better if you come.
I'll be there. We didn't get a window, right? Oh, you got, Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah. You did it. You should have.
So we're gonna go upstairs, or are you just gonna?
You all have a good night.
Hey, thanks. Dante, you have a good one too, man.
For sure, man. I can't wait to see everyone.
Yeah, me too.
We need to begin an executive session, so bye, everybody. Bye, folks.
He said he was gonna do it. Monica.
Good night, Darren.
Is there an invitation for the executive session?
It should be in your mail.
Thank you.
If you want to, we're gonna have a meeting again next.
If you have enough people, I mean, I'll help through the day.
Because I watched that flight yesterday, we had to go talk to me. And it was 3 nights, and I kept saying, it was a time waster.
You can let me know though.
You good, Rick?
Debbie at once told me.
Hey, Greg, did you send it to everyone?
I can't.
I don't have it.
Refresh. Did you already go to the new meeting, Brad?
8:30. Hey, Jermaine.
Oh, 8:30?
Thank you.
What meeting starts at 8:30?
Well, we need an executive session.
But it's probably something.
What you hear when we talked about it?
No.
Oh, it happened before you came in. We need an exec, Matt. Matt told David.
It's really.
No, well, we sent the invitation.
Oh,
This says,
45 minutes?
no, we're not gonna do that. I mean, hey, Rick, can you open it early?
Yeah, you can open it early.
Yeah, we can open it early and
All
let's text them to see if they can get on.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I'll run down the KFC real quick.
I was gonna say, you can go, you're gonna be having like dinner.
That's, you know what I mean? That's 45
I'm
minutes.
with you, yeah.
Okay, so who do I have to text?
We can make the boardroom smell like chicken again.
That's exactly right. I got no problem with that.
Marcia?
Michael. Please check your email for
Not sure about that.
executive session period.
Hey, I emailed Matt today.
Yeah.
About some dates and I see
It says 8:30, we can start now.
Right, this I think about it, but I think it's
Just make a
still.
note.
No, that's okay, we're gonna throw it
I
out.
need to know dates that he's
Oh,
available
I'm sorry.
for the joint tax committee. They have their
And then other
solicitor.
paintball
I sent
stretch
them
runs
that,
as well.
and their solicitor's available. It was
This
Thursday
world
and
is
Friday this
pretty
week and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. But obviously if Matt's out this week,
Then you got this,
I like
yeah.
the furniture.
we won't know, but we can see if he's available Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
Thursday, Friday this week, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Yes. And I sent him that email, but you know, it came back with a message.
So will we really need to use our devices or will that?
I told you, these things will fall.
So we'll be using that thing
Don't they fly?
instead of these. I should show you.
Because nothing is-
That's what I'm trying to say.
And you're
Yeah, well, you're
supposed
gonna
to-
have a cost.
Oh, okay, so that's my.
On camera.
On camera.
All right, so let's see, okay. So- I see.
Eric and Marcia are already on.
Okay, all right, so now, and Rick Roberto's there, so, okay. So,
I heard what you said, and I agree.
Yeah.
okay, Dante's on also now. Okay, we can get started now. So we found out from David Mongolo that Matt Hoffman wanted us to have an executive session. So I'm gonna turn it over to
Right.
David.
And this is regarding teacher, is everybody?
Everybody but Michael didn't get on yet. But we have Dante, Eric, and Marcia on. So, and I texted Michael, so hopefully he'll jump on.
Okay, so we want to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is regarding teacher Jill Welsh, who, this district has moved towards termination of her. If you remember, she asked for medical sabbatical for the second semester of the school year. That was granted, and then subsequently she was terminated. So, because she was granted the sabbatical first, she was granted that, and we couldn't terminate her until after that was up. Now, the arbitration hearing originally was scheduled in June. Actually in July, early July. She then had medical issues, and those hearing dates were continued, haven't been rescheduled yet. So as of currently, there's no arbitration hearing dates set to discuss her termination. And she then contacted, I believe Matt, or maybe it was Dr.
She contacted Matt.
Yeah, okay.
And then he contacted me.
Right, and so what she's asking for is one more semester of sabbatical, the first semester of next school year, and at the end of that, she would either resign or take a medical retirement, wouldn't come back to teaching. That's what she's asked for. I believe, she has had health insurance during the sabbatical that she's been on. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's one issue, and I'm not sure that was ironed out, or whether she wants the health insurance during that sabbatical term coming up.
Yes, I think she was requesting the health insurance, at least for the first, to get her through this first semester, then apply for retirement, and she would probably qualify for medical retirement.
Right.
So
How long has she been on?
she's been on sabbatical one semester, I think.
Right. Half of the school year. The second.
The second half of the year that just ended, she was on sabbatical, but then we terminated, and that's when she has so many different things against us right now, but apparently she's making an offer that if we extend her sabbatical for this semester coming up, right, David? So this semester coming up, and pay her health care for that, she'll promise to not come back.
It's just healthcare?
Hold on.
Yep.
No salary.
Well, there is half salary.
Half salary during sabbatical.
Wait a minute. We terminated her that we don't
Are you
think.
guys able to hear us
is
in the meeting room?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you, Eric.
I don't know, I can hear you.
I can hear y'all, but I can't hear them. I text Ed.
Seems like something's going on.
Can you hear us now?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay, David, you might have to say it again.
Sorry.
They might not be working.
Yeah.
No,
They are? Okay.
you were just muted.
Okay. Yeah, turn it on.
We can hear, I can hear you now. We couldn't hear anything before.
Oh,
It was muted, sorry, it was muted. Our fault on this end.
So
Okay.
you didn't hear what I said earlier,
No.
David? No, okay. So, yeah, I can go back over that again. So, Jill Welsh, teacher Jill Welsh, the district moved towards her termination. If you remember, the district granted her medical sabbatical for the second semester of the school year that just ended. Because the district granted her the sabbatical before termination, she was eligible for the entire sabbatical before we could terminate her. So she received that entire sabbatical for the second half of the school year. Then we terminated her, and she grieved that, in the arbitration hearing to challenge that was originally scheduled for July. She contacted us and said, she has medical issues. She couldn't attend the July arbitration hearings. And so that is now continued, and it has not been yet rescheduled. After that, subsequent to that, her counsel contacted Matt and asked, proposed a settlement, which would involve her taking another semester of sabbatical for the beginning of the coming school year. At the end of that semester, she would either resign or take a medical retirement. And she does have health issues. It's likely that she would be eligible for the medical retirement. What she's asking for during this upcoming sabbatical term, this semester, would be to continue her health insurance during that time, and also, on sabbatical, employees eligible for half of her salary. So that's what she's asking for. In terms of the health insurance, it is, to note, we typically do advise to extend health insurance in these types of situations, especially for an employee who has medical conditions, just to avoid any kind of liability if health insurance weren't provided and there were some issue or something that, some medical problem or inability to get health insurance. We typically do extend it to avoid additional liability because of that. So that's the request. as I said, the hearing hasn't been scheduled. You know, there are, to talk about the hearing itself and the argument, you know, argument is she's being terminated for negative performance reviews and poor performance. One of the issues, one potential issue at trial is 2 of our witnesses are former employees who are no longer with the district. One of those employees, Ms. Stephanie Palucci, has been pretty cooperative with us in the times we've contacted her. The other has not, and that's Lisa Kellett. And she would be, you know, important to support the first negative performance review. And around the same time that performance rating was entered, Lisa did give some favorable reports about this teacher. So there is some question as to how she would testify, as to whether she would support the position that this employee should be terminated or not. So, you know, that's a potential issue if we were to take this through arbitration. Of course, there's always unpredictability anytime you go in front of an arbitrator, how that arbitrator is going to come down. So this, you know, taking a settlement like this would avoid that uncertainty of what might happen if the arbitrator were to rule in the employee's favor. But of course, we would be, as I said, extending the health care and also paying her half salary during that sabbatical.
So, Rick,
My question, we terminated her, but we didn't check into all that to make sure we dotted our i's and crossed our t's before we terminated her. That she could come back and fight that?
We have enough from the last 2 years where we felt comfortable with, but once they start going through the past 4 years or 5 years, that came up. So talking with Matt, I mean, we have good for these last 2 years. It's just when Lisa Kellett was here, there was some favorable, so we still might have enough to win the case.
Sure.
But when I think about the finances of it, her salary is right around $80,000 if I'm not mistaken. So half that plus, so probably 50 grand counting her health benefits.
Roughly.
So we're thinking 50 to 55,000 compared to trying to take this out another year or 2, attorney fees.
Right.
And running the risk of losing.
And running the risk of losing, and she's in her early 40s. She could be here another 20 years, 15, 20 years.
We'd be stuck with her.
Yeah, if we lose.
Well, what about a counter proposal?
Go ahead.
We could offer her the health insurance that she seeks, which is relatively affordable. And I don't necessarily like the idea of a sabbatical because it seems to keep her on the payroll. And I'd rather she be gone. I'd rather sever the tie somehow. So what if we offer her FMLA and to sweeten that slightly, offer it for 50% longer than she asked for?
FMLA is typically for 12 weeks, I believe. I don't know.
You're right, 12 weeks,
And it's only healthcare.
And it's only healthcare, right? But are you saying for longer than 12 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like that's of interest to her. It sounds like her medical condition is important to her. I think maybe by recognizing that and offering just a little bit longer, maybe that would entice her to take the deal.
But think about this, Derek. She's getting half of her salary now, $40,000 a year. Why would she let that go?
Well, you're paid on FMLA, aren't you?
No, you're not.
Not
Oh,
always.
no? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she has sick days.
You have to use.
Only
your
if you got sick days.
Oh, okay,
and regular
okay.
days.
She would have to use her sick days.
So she has already used all of her sick days.
Obviously,
and
yeah.
everything else, or
Yes, correct.
She had to, she was on sabbatical.
Right.
so she's asking for a sabbatical. Just to make it clear, it would be through December.
Correct.
And
Obviously,
healthcare and dental, everything that she wants, all the healthcare through December.
Right.
That will
after
cost
school.
us about $50,000 is what you're saying between,
Roughly.
yeah, between benefits, whatever, and then she would go away.
Definitely.
So, I
And
mean,
she's the one, I believe, that had asked before, she'd asked for like $400-some thousand.
that was Ackerman, I thought that was the
Yeah,
other.
oh, that was
Yeah,
it.
Ackerman asked.
Yeah, Ackerman's the one who's suing us for a huge amount of money. So this one, I mean,
So can I understand that, am I to understand that she would extend her sabbatical through December and then take a medical retirement? Is
Correct.
that what she's asking?
Right, she would apply for a medical retirement. And the agreement would be if she's unable to get to medical retirement for some reason, she would resign from teaching.
one way or the other,
What is a medical
one way or the other,
retirement?
she's on.
Is that the medical disability?
Is that medical
Yes.
disabilities?
Right.
That's true, yeah.
Right.
Is there any pension obligation after she retires that way?
Not through the district, Eric, no. It would be a disability.
Well, in light of the fact that Lisa Kellick did not have stellar performance, I'm not sure that you would want her to come back and be one who would testify on behalf of the district anyway.
I don't think
So
she,
that's something to consider. In addition, I'm hearing that Lisa Kellick gave conflicting evaluations of her, some that were positive
Yeah.
and some that were negative, which goes right along with the fact that Lisa Kellick had a very poor job performance.
Right.
So based on that alone, she might win.
Yeah, you're right, Marcia. Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't, I was gonna say, I wouldn't pin any hopes, I wouldn't count on Lisa Keller to help us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially not the
Not the way
circumstances,
she left.
not the way she left. So I think that's too much of a liability. If we can, and Jill's a teacher, I mean, this Ms. Welsh is a teacher that Dr. Iverson tracked her and, meticulously prepared this case to get rid of her. So if we can accomplish that for $50,000, I say let her go. Otherwise, we could have her for, for 20 more years.
It'll just go on and on, yeah.
So
As long as we know she's going away.
Yes.
the agreement would have to be
It has to be
solid
specific,
that
yeah.
she's gone. So.
Like, I don't care if she break her hip, pull a
Right.
tooth, something, as of December 31st, she's done.
Yes.
Well, second semester, right? So January 20th or something like that.
Yeah, second semester.
Oh, yeah, right. It would go, she wants it for the semester, so.
Yeah, that's what sabbatical runs.
I mean, all we have to do is approve Matt entering into getting this
Right.
negotiated. We're not approving the actual
Exactly.
deal yet.
Right.
Right.
But as far as I'm concerned, yes, hell yeah, we ought to ask Matt to go ahead and try to iron this out for us.
And finalize it.
Yes,
Okay. And I can take that back to him and he can move forward on it.
okay.
Any other opinions from anyone else that wanted to add anything?
Everyone on home, are you all in agreement?
Marsha, Michael, Dante, Eric, can we have a little help here?
I'm in agreement that we extend her sabbatical, if that's what we're agreeing to, and then she be allowed to take a medical retirement.
Right.
Is that what we're agreeing to?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And if she doesn't get,
Okay.
and if she doesn't get the medical retirement, she resigns. But one way or
Right,
the
that's per her statement, right? She
Correct.
said that, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's valuable too.
Make that agreement airtight, that she's got a good lawyer, and she's gonna ride us as long as she can.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree, I agree. It has to be airtight. All right, that's it. Is there another issue?
So
Yes?
That was it.
All right, hey, that was it, everybody. So if there are no other comments, we're finished.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Even,
You too.
even with an executive session, we're a half an hour early. All right.
All right.
We like that.
We're just so thrilled to be here, Ed.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised. I
We
really
really
thought.
like the new room in the
Yeah, we
Senate.
do like the new room. It's nice.
Yeah, if you want to see the new boardroom and stuff upstairs.
I don't want to go upstairs.
We'll wait till
Don't
the
let
elevator,
her,
right?
let her go, like, I'm a little hungry.
Oh, we ended for,
Oh, God.
We got through a whole
well,
bunch of
it's
stuff.
lunch.
Well, I was saying,
We
well,
must
this
have
might
done
be.
some
Oh, but wait a minute.
Because I
If
had
we
my
had started
dog
at,
stuff ready.
if we had started all four of them,
It's
that
6:30. I get home, so yours is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said all four days, but I
This way,
thought-
you shut off.
if we had started at 7, though, we'd be getting out at 9.